These 10 episodes show Stan Smith at his absolute worst. The final episode is pure nightmare fuel. He crosses every line imaginable. Let's begin with the hurricane episode because it's where Stan is most unhinged. Episode 1. Hurricane. In the episode, Stan was in full disaster mode and he actually turned his family home into a death trap when Langley Falls experienced a hurricane warning.
As Hurricane Flozell grows stronger, record surf threatens to breach the Langley Falls.
A normal person would have packed his or her luggage and left. However, Stan Smith is not like this.
Francine, staying here is not a bad decision. I've prepared for this.
This man decided to be the greatest protector and could not allow his family to leave.
We are staying right here.
He essentially made their house turn into some fortress of sorts, where he completely closed and shut it up, perhaps expecting nuclear war and not a storm.
Remember when everyone was worried about anthrax and dirty bombs?
But this was where Mr. Stan entered into genius-level stupidity. He made the house airtight, such that when the floodwater rose, the entire thing began to float just like a boat.
Stan, what are you doing?
I'm dropping an anchor to stop us. We could crash into something and sink.
The place turned upside down, and all of a sudden the attic was the ground and everything was flooding.
Ah! This is salt water! It burns! Put me back!
Did Stan still learn his lesson? Absolutely not. This lunatic thought to resolve the issue of flooding by opening the windows.
We should open a window and flood this floor. The rising water will carry us right up to the living room.
Which allowed a freaking shark to enter the living room.
Dad was wrong!
And then he thought, you know what would end this shark situation? A bear. Then he hired a zoo bear to go fight the shark. The result? Pure chaos. The family was attacked by the bear. Stan was trying to kill the shark by electrocuting him, and in the process incapacitated Roger. When finally he attempted to kill the bear using his college javelin, he stabbed Francine instead of the bear. Even the bear seemed disappointed in Stan at the time. But if you think that was Stan at his worst, just wait until you hear how far he went to avoid a simple family vacation. Episode 2, Vacation Goo. Stan was psychotically lazy, or at least thought family vacations were too much of an effort. This guy, instead of taking his family to Hawaii as promised,
It's time for a Smith family vacation.
came upon CIA memory-altering goo to keep his family trapped in fake vacation simulations years on end. The worst part is that while Francine, Steve, and Haley were trapped in these artificial reality pods believing that they were having incredible family trips, Stan was out there doing whatever he pleased.
Oh yes! Oh yes! Oh yes!
Enjoying his life to the fullest. The most terrible thing is that he did not find anything bad about this arrangement. When Roger had accidentally revealed the truth,
Well, every year Stan checks out these artificial memory chambers from the CIA, plops you suckers.
there was no guilt or shame that overshadowed the situation, but instead an annoying response of being caught. But when the family came with the request of a real vacation, Stan cleverly thought of putting them once again in the goo. Literally, the man was not able to understand why real time with the family is superior to sedating with the family into simulated memories. But Stan's vacation madness was nothing compared to what happened when he mixed religion with his twisted sense of morality. Episode 3, Dope and Faith. Stan's religious fixation led him to becoming a plain anti-hero upon encounter with his atheist friend Brett.
Brett Morris.
Stan Smith.
These two men shared a lot. They both shared the love of guns, golf, and conservative politics. Brett did not believe in God.
Well, I don't believe in God.
And that was the only issue, as Stan could not deal with it. Then what did Stan do? He thoroughly ruined the whole life of Brett.
I hope you know I'd do anything to save this friendship.
He burned the house where Brett lived, infected his restaurant with bird flu, and then used CIA technology to brainwash Brett into believing that his wife is a lesbian,
Someone shot an experimental beam into my head and suddenly I'm gay.
so she can dump him and take the children. The rough treatment that Stan gave Brett moved him well over his limits, to the point where the poor man threw himself off a building and came out in a coma. By the time Brett had awakened, he had visited hell, had an encounter with Satan, and was a Satanist. Episode 4, Virtual Insanity. This is by far one of the most gruesome things Stan has ever done. After recognizing the fact that he wasn't bonding with Steve,
Sorry, man. Got other plans.
What's the problem? I'm trying to bond with him.
rather than simply spending more time with his son as every ordinary dad would do,
Steve's a care about
about going to a ball game with his dad. All he's interested in is girls.
Stan went to the extent of inventing a teenage girl named Phyllis.
This is Phyllis.
With the help of CIA technology, this artificial girl was controlled by Stan remotely, and he used her to seduce Steve.
And this is really happening, because this is real. Really, really real.
Creepy enough as it was, the plan went even worse. Phyllis came under Stan, who offered to sleep with Steve at the school dance.
If you go to the dance with me, I'll have sex with you.
Okay!
He was actually intending to be the first sex to his own son. The fact that Stan found nothing wrong about this plan is the scariest ever. He was willing to do the least satisfactory thing in his bid to ensure that his son is thoroughly traumatized without the need to have normal father-son talk. But if you think Stan's parenting was bad, just wait until you see what he did to an entire town's trust and to his own daughter. Episode 5, Mural of the Story. Stan's denials to do duty went a notch higher when he offered his services to replace a vandalized mural in Langley Falls.
One thing and one thing only matters. This mural must be restored.
The town entrusts their donation money with him, and Stan promptly spends it on a party. He ended up destroying the mural completely when he had attempted to repair the mural on his own. However, instead of confessing his fault, Stan made the whole town believe it was the fault of Haley. The society turned against her with such viciousness that she had to flee into hiding. Stan's solution: he constructed her a room inside the garage and instructed her to be a recluse all the remainder of her life. When Haley said no, Stan drugged her unconscious using chloroform and proceeded to cut up her face in the process. The outcome was gross to an orc like Haley. She was traumatized to an extent that she attempted to run, and she got involved in a car accident. The selfishness of Stan literally ruined the life of his daughter. Later, the doctor did her facial surgery again, and Haley looked completely different, but just like every other family show, she decided to move on and forgive her father. Episode 6, Francine's Flashback. Stan forgets his wedding anniversary again, and desperate to dodge Francine's wrath, grabs a CIA neural neutralizer that's meant to erase the last 20 hours of her memory.
Thank God for top secret CIA technology. Just lose the last 20 hours of her memory.
A half-asleep lab tech twists the wrong dial and wipes 20 years instead, sending Francine's brain back to 1985. She wakes up screaming at the sight of an alien in her kitchen and a talking fish in a bowl, so Stan gasses her a second time, then follows the agency training video, hosted by forgettable actor Bill Pullman, that says her mind will implode if she's told the truth.
Tell your loved one what's happened to them, their brain will implode. Good luck. I'm Bill Pullman.
Stan and Haley refit Francine's old apartment to look like the mid-80s and let her think she's 18. Every attempt to rekindle her memories gets darker. Stan recreates the night they met by forcing Steve to unleash a raccoon in the road so he can mercy kill it again. But Francine stops him and decides he's a psycho.
Stop the car, you psychopath!
Francine parties, then bolts to Burning Man with Jeff Fisher. Stan, Haley, and a thermos-stowed Klaus give chase. When a paraglider's cigarette ignites the giant effigy, Stan drags Francine from the inferno, pledges his love as she vomits on his shoes, and the shock snaps her memory back. She forgives him, mostly because the whole day is too insane to process. And the Smiths head home, leaving Stan to promise he'll totally remember next year. He won't. Episode 7, White Rice. Stan and Francine are sparring, again over whether her elderly parents should move to Langley Falls.
I tried to talk to Stan about moving my parents to town, but he refuses to even discuss it.
To solve the dispute, Stan drags her to his annual marriage counseling appointment with Sal, who is actually a hypnotist on Stan's payroll. For 20 years, Stan has slipped out for a sandwich, while Sal erases any memory of arguments and plant suggestions that suit Stan's taste. No parents in town, no kitchen repaint, definitely no dogs. This time, Sal finally snaps, "You've never once brought me a sandwich."
You've been coming here for 2 decades, never once offered to bring me a sandwich.
And flips the switch. Francine now remembers everything Stan suppressed. The dead twin Bailey, the sleep punching, all 20 years of bottled up rage. Back home, another memory surfaces. She once had a stand-up career, digging a hidden VHS out of Stan's plate room. She watches her younger self roasting Asian stereotypes and decides to chase the dream Stan stole from her. With Roger as sleazy agent Sweeps McCullough, Francine bombs at an open mic, then lands a Fox sitcom called White Rice. Stan sulks until Klaus guilts him into accepting change. He storms the Hollywood soundstage, armed armed with every proposal Francine ever tried to discuss. 20 rescues dogs, a purple kitchen, even the convertible she wanted just to prove he's listening now. They reconcile, but the pilot's first joke offends Asian American test audiences.
After one joke?
Apparently the Asian community is in an uproar. Oh well.
White Rice is canceled after one episode and the Smiths move back to Langley Falls. At last, they revisit the original question of moving her parents in, and both agree it's a terrible idea.
I think it's a terrible idea.
Me too.
B-plot, Steve buys a female fish for Klaus, who marries her, watches her eat their fry, then buries her with Stan's shovel. Episode 8, Stanford Prison Experiment. Stan's casual attitude toward murder was on full display when he accidentally killed Dr. Ray, his therapist. After the CIA groundskeeper died, Stan went into a weird spiral and started communicating only through a leaf blower. When Dr. Ray tried to help Stan work through his grief, Stan ended up blowing air into the therapist's mouth until Ray's body exploded like a balloon. Stan's reaction? He smiled and said he felt better, then walked away like nothing happened. Episode 9, Father's Days. When the family forgot Father Day,
My family forgot to celebrate me.
Stan decided to use men in black-style memory erasers to erase their memories and make the family repeat the celebration 6 times until they got it right. Stan subjected his family members to a psychological torture loop by deleting their memories whenever they failed to satisfy his expectations to the point. By the time they found out what he was up to, Stan attempted to turn himself into a victim because they were being ungrateful for all he had done for them, and now comes the most horrifying episode of all time. Episode 10, Overwatch. The ignorance of Stan towards Steve culminated into the final climax when he incidentally incited nuclear war and wiped out the entire planet. Stan was to spend some father-son time with Steve at an amusement place, but found himself distracted by a CIA assignment to assassinate someone at an Overwatch tournament. Stan lied to Steve, telling him about the mission, then used him to facilitate the assassination, and then ruined the entire thing. His stupidity led to nuclear war that destroyed all life on Earth. The alien intervention was necessary to restart the timeline, and even in that case, it was only then that Stan got the lesson, as he literally watched the world end. The point was simple: the world is a better place when Stan decides to be a good father, and when he fails to, all people die. Stan Smith is not only a terrible father or a self-centered husband, but a real psychopath who makes his family endure unspeakable trauma over the most insignificant things. These episodes demonstrate that beneath his red-blooded patriotism and family values blather, Stan is up to anything at all.